Breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Now on Fox 50 at 8 o'clock, a man was shot in Durham this morning and sent to the hospital. Hear what we're learning from investigators as they collect evidence.
And we got the 8 o'clock advisory in for a very powerful Hurricane Milton. We've seen the winds decrease 10 miles per hour. I'll show you what else the advisory shares.
And leaders in Florida have been clear people need to evacuate ahead of Milton. We are bringing you a look at preparations underway as the hurricane approaches.
And while some parts of Florida brace for Milton, people in western North Carolina are only in the early phases of recovery. This morning, a look at that effort as so many people are trying to get those resources out to the mountains. And so many people even helping us with our WRAL Cares event. Yeah. You raised, what was it, around $900,000. Just amazing.
Almost $1 million.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
We'll get to more of that in just a second. Thanks for joining us this morning on WRAL News. I'm Chris Levingood.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Of course, we are tracking Hurricane Milton, a massive storm. Chris and I used to live in Fort Myers, Florida. We know exactly where that storm is headed. This is going to be a very dangerous storm. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner has a look at it right now.
Yeah, it's really hard to watch it, just knowing how big and powerful it is and that it's headed for the west coast of Florida. It's part of it is sitting over the Yucatan Peninsula right now, which is likely one of the reasons that it's starting to lose a little bit of its strength. It's down to 145, and it was up to 155 just a little while ago. But as it moves away from the Yucatan Peninsula out into this really warm water of the Gulf of Mexico, it is likely to re-energize and potentially get back up to Category 5. It's moving northeast at around 12 miles per hour. It's about 540 miles away from Tampa. It's going to be such a big, powerful storm that even though it may be downgraded to a Category 3 when it gets to shore, it's going to act more like a Category 4 because it's going to hold that strength just right up to the end. And it's going to hold a lot of water and dump it right there in the form of storm surge on the west coast of Florida. It moves on out into the Atlantic as a tropical storm, leaving North Carolina pretty quiet, minus some maybe rip current danger. The biggest impact likely to be on the coast of Florida will be the storm surge, possibly the worst in over a century around the Tampa Bay area at 10 to 15 feet. And we'll talk more about some of the other impacts coming up. A pretty morning here in North Hills, looking at lots of sunshine, 57, and our dew point 49. So big changes that you'll feel as you step out the door. Temperatures range from the low 50s in the north to right around 60 in our southern counties. And temperatures run from anywhere from 3 to about 8 degrees cooler than they were this time yesterday. A high 75 this afternoon with lots of sunshine. I'll show you when we can see some cloud cover from Milton coming up. Ken?
Hi, Elizabeth. Happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. A few icons and troubled spots to tell you about. Let's start in Durham to keep you guys posted as to what's happening there. This crash is likely in the clearing phase at I-885 in the southbound lane, but it's causing quite a bit of delay all the way back to 885. It's also beginning to affect the Durham Freeway as well. An alternate route that everybody's taking is Miami Boulevard to Highway 70. It's an alternate route, but a lot of people are doing that as well, so keep that in mind. Here's I-85 and Ellis Road. Once you get past the crash, you can see it's easy sailing out of the Bull City this morning, but I'll keep an eye on that and keep you posted. Another trouble spot this morning, Falls of Neuse Road. This crash near I-540, you can see the huge delays it's causing there in Falls of Neuse Road. I would take an alternate route if Falls of Neuse is part of your morning commute. This and the other issue that could be an alternate route from Falls of Neuse, Capitol Boulevard. You can see this crash causing quite a bit of problems on US 1 Capitol Boulevard coming in from Wake Forest Road. That's Perry Road right there, Perry Creek Road right there where the accident has happened. So it's going to cause quite a bit of problems in that area, but we'll keep an eye on it for you. Elsewhere, you see the usual congestion building on the belt line on the northern loop and the southern loop. You're looking like a 5 to 6 minute delay. Always remember, you're heading out this morning. You can listen to us anywhere in the triangle at 101.5 HD3.
All right, thanks, Ken. Breaking news in Durham, where a man was rushed to the hospital after an early morning shooting. Nick Perlin is there on the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. Nick, what are we learning about what happened there?
Well, we do know that Durham police do believe that this was a gang-related shooting, and as you can see behind me, they were investigating here all morning, but they just now took the crime scene tape down, and it looks like they're getting ready to leave after investigating for roughly 4 hours. Take a look at this video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. This is when we arrived around 4:30 early this morning, and you can see evidence markers here scattered throughout the street, as well as Durham police investigating some of the homes nearby that could have potentially gotten hit by gunfire. We do know one man was shot shot and was taken to the hospital. We're still trying to get an update on how that person is doing, and we're also still working with Durham police to find out how many potential shooters there were earlier this morning, and if they know who may have fired those gunshots. We'll let you know more of when more information becomes available. Live in Durham, Nick Perlin, WRAL News.
If people in Florida are trying to evacuate before Hurricane Milton arrives, they need to do it now. The National Hurricane Center warns it could be one of the most destructive hurricanes on record for the Tampa Bay region. Evacuation orders are in place for several counties. Highways are seeing a lot of traffic, including this morning, as well as supermarket shelves being emptied. Tampa's mayor issued a dire warning for the people who are deciding to stay.
This is literally catastrophic. And I can say without any dramatization whatsoever, if you choose to stay in one of those evacuation areas, you're going to die.
Now, again, just a dire warning for the people who decide to stay here. Milton could bring a storm surge of up to 12 feet to the Tampa Bay region. And as people try to leave Florida to avoid Milton, some people are choosing to fly and arriving here at RDU. That's where we find WRAL's Laura Levine. Laura, some airports are closing in Florida this morning.
Chris, good morning. Thousands are making the move out of Florida, out of Milton's path here at RDU. Some have landed as early as last night. But taking a look at the boards here behind me, we continue to see some changes, some canceled flights coming from Tampa, Orlando, and beyond. So a lot of people in Florida, we're seeing the impacts from the travel here as the Tampa International Airport also plans to close at 9 o'clock this morning. Last night, again, we counted about 8 flights arriving at RDU from Miami, Orlando, Tampa, and Fort Lauderdale, as some of those passengers shared stories of a lot of traffic as people try to get out of the state. One family says they are grateful they could leave, but are concerned about those who decided to stay.
Thank God, thank God. I mean, just because from what happened in the mountains in western North Carolina, my thoughts and prayers are with every one of them people up there. Just to see what the devastation that it did and the devastation that the Hurricane Milton could do to Florida.
Yeah, so many people still seeing the impact Helene has had on western North Carolina. That is helping them make their decision to leave Florida. Meanwhile, we know Orlando's airport is expected to close as well tomorrow morning. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live at RDU.
And breaking news here at home, a person is dead after being hit by a car in Durham. The crash happened on 15501 near Hillsborough Road just before 9 o'clock last night. Police say 73-year-old Lester Battle stepped over a guardrail and onto the highway. The driver of a Honda Civic hit him. The driver stopped and called 911, but Battle died at the scene. The driver is not expected to face any charges. And today, Governor Roy Cooper will tour more devastated communities in western North Carolina. He'll visit with volunteers who are helping with the relief efforts in Burnsville in Yancey County and Spruce Pine in Mitchell County. We'll also get an update this morning at 11 o'clock from leaders in Buncombe County. That's where Asheville is, about the recovery there. As of this morning, about 119,000 homes remain without power in western North Carolina. Hundreds of people are still unaccounted for. And today, a major donation drive wraps up at the state fairgrounds. The Wake County Sheriff's Office is gathering items as people here in the Triangle rally to help. And WRAL's Kelsey Coffey joins us live from the fairgrounds. Kelsey, there are still some items they need people to drop off today.
Michelle, folks can start dropping off their items here at the state fairgrounds within the next 30 minutes. You can see that the Wake County Sheriff's Office already has some of those items organized here, and they're going to try to load up this truck. So already the Sheriff's Office has loaded up 4 of these 26-footers. That's 10,000 pounds of supplies per truck. So people have been donating here since last Thursday. The Wake County Sheriff's Office is accepting non-perishable food items, hygiene products, baby items, and more. They are partnering with local law enforcement agencies in western North Carolina to distribute supplies to people in need. You can drop off your donation items here at this parking lot that's at the intersection of Blue Ridge Road and Hillsborough Street. They'll start accepting donations this morning at 8:30, and you can give out those donations until 4:30. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
I'm bringing you to the WRAL Live Center. I'm Jeff Hogan. There is a power outage in a couple of Chapel Hill Carborough City schools, and it has them closed right now. I want to get you to this alert right here from Chapel Hill Carborough City Schools and give you a little more detail here because it was discovered this morning, and they are not estimated that power to be back on today until 5:30 this evening. So trying to get together some dismissal for students who have already gotten to school there and the return procedures also for what to do with some of those kids who might be on their way. They're trying to figure it out. A couple of schools that are mentioned here are Estes Middle School. Estes School is one of those schools that is involved in that. There are just 2 schools with this power outage affected.
Information for parents to know. Thank you, Jeff. And this morning, Cumberland County school leaders will vote on a deal with the town of Hope Mills for more school resource officers. This new deal will add 6 SROs and traffic control officers to schools in Hope Mills. The district and the town reached that deal in July, and that happened because the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office said it would no longer provide the district with officers. Fayetteville Police has 9 SROs working in the high schools this year.
As water recedes, we are getting a closer look at the devastation in one of the hardest hit towns in western North Carolina, the damage left behind in Chimney Rock, and what the governor says about efforts to restore the town's infrastructure.
And taking a look at satellite, this is the view, of course, of Milton as it continues to head toward Florida. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, meteorologist Chris Michaels will join me here to talk about how it intensified so rapidly.
Braxton. Welcome back. Time now is 8:14 on your Tuesday morning. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is tracking Hurricane Milton, a Category 4 storm right now. Elizabeth, this is a very dangerous storm.
It really is. It's kind of hard to watch, just this, what is likely to be a deadly storm moving toward the coast of Florida. Right now, a part of it is sitting over the northern part of the Yucatan Peninsula, and most likely that has caused it to weaken a little bit. It's down to winds at 145, down from 155 in the 5 a.m. advisory. So this is the 8 o'clock advisory. Winds at 145. It is still a very powerful Category 4 storm moving northeast at around 12 miles per hour. We're going to start to see in the next 6 to 12 hours some of the early rain bands, or at least some cloud cover moving on into Florida. But as Category 4, it will potentially even reach Category 5 again as it moves out over these very warm ocean temperatures here in the Gulf of Mexico. And again, likely to stay Cat 4 until right before it makes landfall. So it's going to feel very much like a Cat 4 in terms of its impact. It's going to be able to pull up a lot of water and dump it here on the west coast of Florida. Then moves out into the Atlantic with minimal impact here in North Carolina. Yesterday, it was just crazy to watch what happened. Winds at 100 miles per hour at 5 a.m. And then by 5 p.m., just 12 hours later, it had winds at 180. And that's the 3rd strongest on record in the entire Atlantic basin. Of course, it started to drop a little bit, and now it's down to 145. But it was just incredible to watch that yesterday. Chris Michaels here with us to talk about rapid intensification and why that happened in this situation.
Yeah, and it's one of those terms that we throw out there. Rapid intensification means that a storm's central wind speed has gone up by 35 miles per hour within 24 hours. Milton was one of the more extreme examples of that, in which it strengthened by 95 miles per hour within just a day. Felix did that in 2007, and Wilma in 2005 strengthened by 125 miles per hour in just a day. A lot of that has to do with the very warm Gulf waters. Right now, they're in the upper 80s. So this is very much top of the scale in terms of ocean waters and their temperatures. Now, this is forecast to become a Cat 3. That does not mean that the impacts just stop for Florida. When you have a Cat 5, it's kind of like when a figure skater brings their arms in and they spin faster, but they're a little skinnier, a little more narrow, right? But when you have a Cat 3, that's kind of the opposite. When a figure skater brings its arms out and you start to see that bigger wingspan. So what we're going to see is a larger area of wind and a larger area of storm surge, even though it's only a Cat 3. And Elizabeth is going to show some of that storm surge in Tampa is going to be very bad.
Record-breaking, potentially 10 to 15 feet in Tampa, and then southward in the purple, and then the red areas are 5 to 6 to 10 feet. So this is going to be potentially deadly or catastrophic damage that's likely to happen here. On top of that, 5 to 10 inches of rainfall, but truly it's going to be that storm surge that causes the most problems. We're not likely to see any rain in any part of North Carolina in the next 7 days. We're in a dry pattern, It is going to be a bit breezy for the next few days, but nothing that's going to cause any damage. And even along the coast, our winds during the time period of Milton passing by to our south, only likely to be 25 to maybe 35 miles per hour. So we're not looking at any major impacts. Some potential beach erosion, some rip current danger, some breezy conditions here. Western North Carolina also breezy, but also staying dry from the storm as the storm passes down to the south. It's a quiet morning with cooler temperatures. Fayetteville, Raleigh, Apex, Chapel Hill, all showing up with beautiful sunshine. We'll see high temperatures in the mid to upper 70s this afternoon and a chilly night tonight. Our northern towns likely to be in the 40s for tomorrow morning. The coolest morning will be 47 on Friday. And again, looking at just beautiful weather for us here all the way into early next week, Ken.
All right, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We have a couple of issues brewing on I-540 this morning. Take a look at what we're talking about. This one on Falls of Neuse Road near I-540. You can see the huge delays it's causing there on Falls of Neuse Road proper. The other troubled spot is a crash on 540 westbound lane near the Triangle Town Center. You can see the delays it's causing in that area as well. You might want to look at an alternate route. Even the Beltline might be an option for you this morning. This crash on Perry Creek Road in the eastbound lane at Capitol Boulevard. You can see the delays it's causing on Capitol Boulevard this morning. That's something that we've been seeing all morning long. In terms of the delays you're seeing on Capitol Boulevard, it's something we see quite often this time of the morning. This is a crash on Glenwood Avenue, the westbound lane there, 440. Not necessarily causing any major problems for you this morning, but just keep an eye on that. Here's a trouble spot this morning. You're coming from all points south, like Lee County or Moore County. You're coming in on US 1. You can see the delays that's happening there from Highway 55 all the way up to the split of US 1 and 64. You can use 64 as an alternate route, but you can run into some problems there as well. But just give yourself some extra time if you're about to head out this morning. Taking a look at the delay times, you're just looking at about a 6-minute delay coming in on US 1, an 11-minute delay in those eastbound lanes, and of course, a 9-minute delay coming down from Wake Forest this morning on US 1 and Capitol Boulevard.
Thanks, Ken. The election campaign is entering its final stretch. We are now just 28 days, 4 weeks from Election Day, and the presidential candidates are making their final pushes to rally their supporters to the voting booths, including here in North Carolina. Vice President Kamala Harris sat down for a one-on-one interview with CBS's 60 Minutes that aired last night. And during the interview, she addressed criticism that she has changed positions on many key issues, including immigration and Medicare for all.
In the last 4 years, I have been Vice President of the United States, and I have been traveling our country, and I have been listening to folks and seeking what is possible in terms of common ground. I believe in building consensus.
And Harris criticized former President Trump for backing out of his own 60 Minutes interview. The broadcast said that Trump's campaign canceled a sit-down interview at Mar-a-Lago.
Former President Trump insists the Biden-Harris administration's response to Helene recovery in North Carolina has been weak. He spoke about it while at an October 7th Remembrance event in Miami.
This has been an amazing period of time, but the response has been very weak, unbelievably weak. Nobody's ever seen such a weak response, so we have to get a strong response. And now we have another one coming, and it looks like it's going to be a whopper.
In the past week, Trump has claimed the federal response to Helene relief has gotten universally negative reviews. However, it has been praised by many state and local leaders, including Republicans.
And Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance will be in North Carolina this week. He'll be in Greensboro on Thursday. The event is at the Corey Convention Center. It's happening at 6 p.m. And Vance was in Charlotte and Raleigh last month. Democratic Vice Presidential nominee Tim Walz is on the campaign trail in California over the next couple of days.
For the first time, we are getting an up-close look at the damage in one of the communities Helene hit the hardest. WRAL was with Governor Roy Cooper as he toured Chimney Rock in Lake Lure yesterday. The neighborhoods, just destroyed there because of Helene's floodwaters. It's damage that could take years to rebuild. Cooper promised people he met with Monday that aid is coming.
We're going to lay the foundation of making sure that we've got all of these streams of money opened so that we can begin this process now of beginning to draw down the funding that we need, assessing the damages.
Cooper said getting running water back to people across western North Carolina is a top priority. He also says that will happen on a town-by-town basis.
And covering Wayne County, the school district is helping support Western North Carolina. They have 2 district-wide donation and collection initiatives underway right now. Coins for a Cause runs through November 6th, and you can put cash or coins in a jar at each school across the district. You can also drop off physical donations through October 25th.
Well, I want to show you this video. Koala surviving a close call at a Sydney, Australia train station. There we go. You'll see the video, the koala moving along the train platform, late for their train, obviously, but very close to the edge there. Be careful, little friend. A train guard passing by noticed the animal and then called Security Control Center. They warned the trains in that area to slow down. Police later arrived and watched as the koala scaled the fence and left toward a nearby national park. I guess decided to walk to work that day instead of take the train.
Thank goodness he was okay. Oh my goodness.
There's a part of it was a guy who took a picture of it too. Very popular koala.
All right, well, coming up today, we are expecting an update about a rail project that will connect Raleigh to Richmond. The stops near us, the S line is expected to make.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey. It is a good day for a sweater right now. Meteorologist Elizabeth Garner with a look in Apex. A beautiful start, but it's a little chilly out there.
It is. We're seeing temperatures in the low 50s in some places this morning. So this begins some cool mornings that we have had, some of them even cooler than this morning. But beautiful here in Apex with all that sunshine. People are out and about enjoying some very comfortable conditions out there. It is 57 in Tarboro, 54 in Lewisburg, 59 in Irwin, 57 in Rocky Mount and Wilson. So perfect temperatures for getting out to exercise, getting a run in. 75 for the high, and our evening temperatures will be in the upper 60s. Humidity stays low, and we stay dry through the weekend. Ken?
All right, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We're seeing the usual congestion building on some of our roadways. US 1 down in Apex coming in, the I-40 eastbound, as well as the Durham Freeway in the north and southbound lanes. Let's take a look at those delay times if we can. We're looking at a 10-minute delay coming in on US 1, just about a 3-minute delay, and a 7-minute delay in those eastbound lanes of I-40. Of course, have an update in the bottom of the hour over on Fox 50.
All right, thank you, Ken. Today is the last day you can donate to a supply drive to help people in the mountains. The Wake County Sheriff's Office has been collecting items all week. You can drop off non-perishable food items, cleaning supplies, hygiene products, and more to the state fairgrounds between 8:30 and 4:30 p.m. today. And Cumberland County school leaders will vote to approve a deal with the town of Hope Mills to secure school resource officers. The new deal will add 6 SROs and traffic control officers to Hope Mills schools. Next on Fox 50, the update expected today about this train service that will connect Raleigh to Richmond, Virginia. And next on Today, Coldplay rocks the plaza.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Right now on Fox 50 at 8:30, a man was shot and sent to the hospital early this morning in Durham. What we're learning from investigators on the scene.
Very dangerous. Hurricane Milton weakened slightly in the last hour or so, but I'll show you why that may not make a lot of difference to Florida.
And an urgent warning from leaders in Florida to leave before it's too late. How Milton is affecting travel plans at RDU as people rush to get out ahead of the storm.
And today we'll get an update about a new way to connect Raleigh and Richmond, Virginia. We'll take a look at the billion-dollar rail project and the stops it'll make close to the Triangle. We have that and so much more to get your Tuesday morning started. Thanks for joining us. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
And I'm Chris Lovingood. You know, you were talking about earlier how we used to live in Florida. So we've been looking at what's happening right now and going, that looks pretty familiar. People preparing for Milton's approach. We've got meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner who is watching that very carefully. And right now, leaders in Florida, Elizabeth, they're saying to leave if you can.
Yeah, that is the best advice they can give. It's just heartbreaking to look at this enormous storm and to know what's likely to happen on the coast of Florida. And I'll walk you through it. The storm, part of it is sitting here over the northern part of the Yucatan Peninsula, about to move over Cancun and Cozumel. So they're going to have some pretty significant impacts there. But because it's interacting with land. There's some friction there, and it is slowing down the wind speed a little bit. Overnight, it was 155, which is very close to Cat 5. Now it's 145, which is still a very powerful Category 4 hurricane. It's moving northeast at 12 miles per hour, about 550 miles away from the coast there, especially in Tampa. Now, it is going to stay as a Cat 4 most likely, or a weak Cat 5 as it moves across the water here in the Gulf of Mexico. The water here is very warm, so this is going to be continuing to have a lot of fuel. It's going to be able to pick up a lot of water and push it on shore here in Florida with what could be record storm surge, especially around the Tampa Bay area. So even though it may weaken to Cat 3 just before landfall, it's still going to feel almost like impacts from a Cat 4 that you would see. Here it is, 10 to 15-foot storm surge here in Tampa. And where the center of circulation make landfall will make a huge difference. If it's a little bit farther south of Tampa Bay, Tampa will be sort of spared. But no matter where it is, all the way down the coast, we could see just some very dangerous, deadly storm surge out of this system. For us, we're seeing a nice day today. Here's a live look at downtown Durham. Just a few clouds out there. Cool, 57. Our dew point really delightful at 49. We're looking at anywhere from the low 50s in the north to around 60 down south. And our temperatures have dropped some, in some places 5 to almost 10 degrees cooler than this time yesterday. 75 for our high temperature this afternoon. Lots of sunshine. Just feeling nice out there, Ken.
All right, great. Happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. Got a couple of things happening on I-540 this morning. You see it right here on our traffic map. It's Falls of Noose Road. There's a crash on Falls of Noose Road near I-540. You can see it's causing quite a bit of problems on Falls of Noose onto 540. And this is another crash on 540, probably in the westbound Triangle Town Center. You can see it's causing some delays as well. So keep that in mind as if that's part of your commute. Also, the Beltline. A couple of things happening there as well. This crash on Glenwood Avenue near the Beltline right now. We're not seeing any delays in that area. We are seeing a little bit of a slowdown on these I-440 westbound crash near Six Forks Road. So keep that in mind as you're about to head out and towards the Beltline this morning. Elsewhere, we can see right now, as we isolate the Beltline, you can see the huge delays it's causing there in the northern loop of the Beltline. You're looking at maybe a 5 to 6, 7 minute delay in that particular area. If you're coming from Garner, Johnston County, I would use the southern loop of the Beltline as an alternative route. Really and truly, the other troubled spot this morning for us is right here on US 1 coming in from Apex, Moore County, Lee County. You're looking at maybe a 3 to 5 minute delay. You might want to get over into State Highway 540 as an alternate route, make your way over to 64, and then get back on US 1. That's something that's to consider. Of course, if you're heading out this morning, traffic is constantly changing. You can listen to us on 101.5 HD3 throughout the Triangle.
Thank you, Ken. Breaking this morning, a man was sent to the hospital because he was shot. Police say this happened on East Main Street near Fayetteville Road in Durham. I want to show you video now from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. Notice the investigators there collecting evidence, and the evidence markers just scattered across the ground there. Now, the extent of the man's injuries are unclear, but police are saying they do not know if he will recover. We're going to keep looking into that story here on WRAL News.
Well, right now, people are trying to get out of Florida before Hurricane Milton arrives. This is a live look in Naples, Florida right now. This is the Naples Pier. The highway is jammed. Highways all across Florida jammed during this evacuation effort. The National Hurricane Center says Milton is in the top 5 of most intense Atlantic hurricanes since records began. Evacuation orders are in place for several communities. Tampa's mayor is warning people who decide to stay behind in evacuation zones that they will die. She said Helene was a wake-up call for Florida, but the threat that Milton brings is literally catastrophic. And as people tried to leave Florida to avoid Milton, some chose to fly and are arriving here at RDU. And that's where we find WRAL's Laura Levine. Laura, some airports closing in Florida this morning, and we know exactly why.
Michelle, good morning. Yes, thousands of people are making the move away from Milton's path and have landed here at RDU, as you've mentioned. Taking a look at the boards this morning, we're tracking 7 cancellations, 2 delays, the majority of those coming out of the Tampa International Airport. Airport officials there say they are closing down operations within the next 25 minutes, beginning at 9 a.m. today. Last night, we counted 8 flights arriving at RDU from Florida, coming in from Miami, Orlando, Tampa, and Fort Lauderdale. Some of the passengers shared stories of lots of traffic as people tried to get out of the state. One family finishing their trip at Disney describes the mood at the amusement park as they were leaving.
There was a whole host of other people coming in to Disney, and they're just sitting around wondering what's going to happen.
Yeah, a lot of people will have to cancel those Disney vacations. Orlando is closing down its operations there at their airport beginning tomorrow. We will continue to track the local impacts here at the airport. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live at RDU.
I should mention Milton threatened Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula last night. It was a Category 5 storm at the time. The storm skirted the northern edge of the area, and if you're not familiar, it's a tourist location that also has cargo ports. What you're seeing here on your screen, this is video showing waves crashing ashore and wind that is shaking the tops of palm trees.
Breaking news, a person is dead after being hit by a car in Durham. The crash happened on 15501 near Hillsborough Road just before 9 last night. Police say 73-year-old Lester Battle stepped over a guardrail and onto the highway. The driver of a Honda Civic hit him. The driver did stop and call 911, but Battle died at the scene. The driver is not expected to face any charges. And this morning, we will get an update on the recovery efforts from Helene in western North Carolina. Buncombe County officials will give a news conference at 11 o'clock. They'll give an update at the news conference. Governor Roy Cooper will be in western North Carolina today. He'll visit Burnsville in Yancey County and Spruce Pine in Mitchell County. He plans to meet with volunteers who are helping with relief efforts. At last check this morning, nearly 120,000 customers are still without power in North Carolina.
And Duke Energy said it may be a while before that goes down because they're trying to reach hard to reach areas in North Carolina. And today, the Wake County Sheriff's Office is wrapping up a donation drive for people struggling during Helene's aftermath. As WRAL's Kelsey Coffey explains, there are a lot of items the Sheriff's Office wants to gather before taking them west.
This morning, you can bring items here to the state fairgrounds. The sheriff's office has already collected enough items to fill 4 of these 26-footers. So that's 10,000 pounds of supplies per truck. And today, the sheriff's office is asking for your help to fill another one. People have been donating since last Thursday. The Wake County Sheriff's Office is accepting non-perishable food items, hygiene products, baby items, and more. They are partnering with law enforcement agencies in western North Carolina to distribute supplies to people in need.
There's a lot of people that have dropped stuff off that they tell us that they've got family members that are stuck over there. It impacts more than just the individuals that are on the front line, so it's nice that people are being thoughtful and they're sending their support.
You can drop your donations at this parking lot at the intersection of Blue Ridge Road and Hillsborough Street today from 8:30 until 4:30. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
And folks, we do want to thank you for your generosity during our WRAL Cares Telethon. Over the past week, we have helped raise nearly $900,000 from the community. And all of this will directly benefit people recovering from Helene in western North Carolina. If you want to add to that number, see that QR code right there on your screen? Go ahead and scan that with your phone. It'll take you right to the website. Or you can just go to WRAL.com and search the word help to donate. While you're there, you're also going to find a list of other ways you can help support North Carolinians in need.
And today we expect to learn the next steps in a plan to improve passenger rail service to and from Raleigh. The S-Line Rail Project will introduce a high-speed passenger rail route between Raleigh and Richmond, Virginia. Wake Forest, Youngsville, Franklinton, Henderson, and Orlino would be stops on this route. The route is set to reduce current travel time by an hour. And today, representatives with the NCDOT are expected to address the beginning phase of that S-Line. That connects Raleigh to Wake Forest. Passenger service is expected to begin in 2029 or 2030.
Your time is 8:40 this morning. The Kansas City Chiefs are 5-0 this season, at least for now. They beat the New Orleans Saints last night, 26-13. The Chiefs scored 2 touchdowns running the ball, and that includes one where Travis Kelce took the snap and handed it off to wide receiver Xavier Worthy. The Chiefs are now 5-0 to start the year, as I just mentioned.
Well, coming up, a high school football player is learning the true meaning of teamwork that goes beyond the field. How the South Carolina player's coach helped him after his family's home was destroyed by Helene.
Plus, an airline apologized after technical issues caused an R-rated movie to play on every screen during a flight. The movie shown on that flight that many passengers did not want to watch.
And as we head to break, we'll take you out to Wilson this morning. A rush of fall is in the air. Coming up next, meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner explains why that's also bailing us out from the worst of Milton.
Well, this is pretty as we look live at Wrightsville this morning. Sunrise definitely making the sky looks great. Oh, we're zooming in. What are we looking at? We sneaking on some people on the boat there? Okay, a lot of people enjoying the water this morning. One of the things that we're obviously following very closely here at WRAL is Milton and its track right now. We've got Elizabeth Gardner in the Weather Center right now talking about this. And Elizabeth, one thing that stands out to me is when I lived in Florida, there are a lot of people who insisted on staying, but leaders there say, don't do that.
You know, perhaps because we've seen Debbie and Helene in Florida already this year, hopefully people will be motivated to leave because they've seen that and it's fresh in their minds. That's the best we can hope for sure. That view of Wrightsville Beach, of course, we're not looking at any major impacts on our coastline at all. This is a very dangerous storm. It is a Cat 4. It spent some time here over the northern part of the Yucatan Peninsula, and that has slowed down the motion, the rotation, the winds with this storm because of the friction, because of the land. Cancun and Cozumel here, likely to have some damage there in that part of the Yucatan Peninsula. It has winds at 145 miles per hour moving northeast up toward Tampa, about 550 miles before it arrives there. It's likely to be a strong Cat 4 storm until the very end, and that means it will have the ability to pull up water because of the suction of the circulation of the storm. It's able to pull the water up and then just dump it right here on the coast of Florida, 10 to 15 feet, potentially around Tampa. It just takes a turn and heads out to sea, though, so we don't have any or very little impact here in North Carolina. 10 to 15 foot storm surge in Tampa. This could be the worst storm surge in over a century. And when we say 10 to 15 foot storm surge, it means that's how high the water will come up above sea level. It's just going to produce a lot of destruction there on the west coast of Florida. Here's a look at the path. Of course, Helene was on the 26th of September. The 5th of August is when Debbie moved through up here along the Big Bend area. So this one's going to be a little farther south, but still, the destruction, hugely populated areas are going to be in the path of just so much destruction. In Durham, we're looking at a beautiful day today. Sunny skies. It's kind of hard to, think about our beautiful weather with all that potentially happening down to our south. 57 right now, dew point 49, so it's very comfortable outside. 75 for the high in Raleigh, 73 in Durham, and 77 in Fayetteville. It's going to be a cool evening, even cooler than this morning with lots of 40s showing up on the map, some low 50s. The coolest morning will be 47 on Friday, then 48 on Saturday, and that 47 on Friday morning will be the coolest temperature in 167 days. Our normal high is 76, so we're close to that, except Thursday and Friday will be a little bit cooler. We'll likely have some cloud cover on Thursday, but we're not looking at any rain in the next 7 days. No rain associated with Milton for us. It may be a little bit breezy, but we're not talking about anything strong. Some gusts 10 to 20 miles per hour here. Some potential beach erosion and rip currents along the coast. Western North Carolina, a bit breezy, but staying dry just like the rest of the state will. Of course, temperature is going to be our big weather story. We'll bump back up to 83 on Sunday, but for the most part, we're looking at 60s and 70s, Ken.
All right, Elizabeth, happening now in the WRAL Traffic Center. We want to isolate the Beltline because we just got reports from Raleigh police that they just cleared a pedestrian crash, that pedestrian was hit on Lake Boone Trail this morning. It's a situation that we've been following. And right now, of course, the computer's acting up. But let me just tell you that the crash happened on Lake Boone Trail. That pedestrian was taken to the hospital as well, and that scene is cleared. We're also hearing there's a pedestrian crash in Durham on Holloway Street. And Holloway Street is closed from Junction to Joyland Avenue. We've got a crew there on the scene. We'll work to get some more information. As soon as we get it, we'll have an update for you. If you're heading out this morning, always know that you can listen to us anywhere in the Triangle in 101.5 HD3. You also have a couple of other options at 99.3 FM in Raleigh and 96.5 FM in Durham.
And I can take you to evacuation traffic in Florida right now. A couple of looks. This is a live picture right now. Here you see I-4 and I-75 both coming out of Tampa. This is the I-75 northbound look right now. Look at that left-hand lane coming at you. These cars are in the shoulder. That's something Florida does, even in the right-hand lane. Those are the shoulders on both sides of this major highway. Evacuation traffic, they have opened the shoulders to allow people to get out. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis just wrapped up a news conference where he said that Port Tampa Bay received 6 shipments of fuel. So that fuel will be distributed. So he is saying that there will be no fuel shortage, or at least any further fuel shortage there in the Tampa Bay area. They've suspended transit services for today, rail, bus, air. not entirely just yet, but on a rolling basis, they are suspending that. I want to give you another look right now. As you check the maps, this is Tampa right here, okay? And to the north, you'll watch 75 come out to the north, and watch this just back up. It's loosened up just a little bit, but you see the yellow on the map right there, those folks trying to get out of there, and take you over to the central part of the state here, Orlando area. That's Route 4 out of Tampa and headed towards Orlando, and evacuation efforts getting out of there. Now, Floridians, they have muscle memory on storms as they come in, but Governor Ron DeSantis warning that this could be one of those situations where there is an indelible impact on many communities.
It's good to see those residents are leaving the west coast of Florida. Thanks, Jeff. Well, on UNC's campus, observances marking 1 year of the war between Israel and Hamas remain civil. About 100 students who support Palestine held a vigil last night in tribute to the lives that have been lost in the war. And just steps away, students supporting Israel held a separate vigil. And they did not allow our cameras to record, but both sides told us they wish to see an end to the violence in the Middle East.
If Palestinians are not given their rights, if Palestinians are not given self-determination, something like another October 7th is going to be inevitable. And it's for peace is only achieved through justice.
I have no doubt that the forces of good will overwhelm and will overcome. And I think we're seeing the flowering of a new Middle East.
The Hamas-led attacks on Israel on October 7th of last year killed about 1,200 people. Nearly 50,000 people have died in the war since then.
Mark Robinson will hold a series of town halls today in his campaign for governor. He's scheduled to start in Sampson County at 10:30 and then head to Pender and Columbus counties this afternoon. He'll then finish the day with a town hall in Cumberland County, and that will be at Mac's Speed Shop on McPherson Church Road in Fayetteville. It starts at 6 p.m. tonight.
And also tonight, Durham Public Schools new superintendent Anthony Lewis wants to hear about your experience with the district. He's hosting a series of meetings to hear directly from families, students, staff, and community members. Tonight's meeting will be at 6 o'clock at Jordan High School. There will be another one next week at the Mini Fort Brown Staff Development Center.
Helene destroyed a South Carolina high school football player's home, but now that his former coach stepped in, that athlete is finding truth in the saying, football is family. Kamari Cannon has lived in Malden, South Carolina all his life. It's about 15 minutes from Greenville, if you're familiar. His family is dealing with the aftermath of a tree that fell on their home. Well, that's when Kamari's former coach, Gunter Langston, and his wife, Darby, welcomed that family into their home.
Love is a verb, so when people are in need, the Cannons are good people. And good things happen to good people, and sometimes God puts you in a position to be the good thing to happen.
The Cannon family is unsure when they'll be home again, but they say they are just so thankful to have a community that supports them. Michelle.
What a beautiful thing to see. I love that. Well, an R-rated movie played on every screen of a Qantas flight from Sydney to Tokyo. The Australian airline says there was a technical issue with the in-flight entertainment system. Qantas did not name the movie, but photos of screens posted on social media by people claiming to be on that flight show the film was Daddy-O. The drama is rated R because of language, sexual material, and brief graphic nudity. Passengers were unable to pause or even turn off their screens. Qantas said the crew tried to fix the screens for customers who did not want to watch the movie. They eventually switched it to a children's film, which is standard practice for the airline if they can't control any of the screens.
Boy, what a slip up there. The North Carolina Aquarium at Fort Fisher is getting into the Halloween spirit. The Spooky Seas event lists its full Halloween fun for all ages and all animals. Here's a glimpse you can see here. The otters got a pumpkin to kick off their October. The alligators and even the bald eagle were able to have some fun. It starts October 19th and runs through November 1st.
Coming up after the break, we'll get another check on your weather and traffic. Stay with us.